Hello everyone, and welcome to King Cuisine. I'm your host, Chef Doug, and I'm hopefully gonna make some delicious meals with you today. First up, we're going to make some baked crab balls. I'm from Baltimore, and everybody knows if you cook and you're from Baltimore, you're supposed to make a good crab cake. And so I believe my crab cakes are good, so we'll see. After the crab cakes, we're gonna move into our main dish, and that's gonna be a Moroccan spiced chicken dish with a millet tabouleh. It's not tabouleh in the traditional sense, but it has the ingredients of tabouleh. And millet is a grain that's not that popular in the US right now, but it's very healthy, and hopefully I can introduce you to something new. And after that, we're gonna move into our dessert. And for our dessert, we're gonna have a chocolate and raspberry parfait. It's light and I think easy to make. The chocolate is on top, so if you don't like chocolate, I love chocolate, but I have friends who don't, and you can just leave that off. All right? And so with that, we're gonna get started. And the first up is gonna be the marinade for the chicken. The chicken has to marinate in the refrigerator for about an hour, so we're gonna get that started, stick it in the refrigerator, and get ready for to make the crab balls. So, excuse me just 1 minute while I gather my ingredients and we'll get going. Okay everyone, so first up, as I said, is gonna be the marinade for the Moroccan spiced chicken. And so we're gonna start off with just some plain yogurt, and we're going to just put that in our bag. It'll mix up when I get all the ingredients in. I'm gonna stir it all around and get that ready for the refrigerator. Okay, and then this is the zest of 1 lemon and 1 orange. We're gonna put that in there to give it a nice citrusy and fresh flavor to the chicken. Here we have a mix of spices. It's like I told you, the kind of Middle Eastern Moroccan spices. There's a half a teaspoon of cumin, half a teaspoon of turmeric. There is a half a teaspoon of cinnamon, and a little bit of salt and pepper. And also from that lemon, I'm just gonna use a little bit of juice in here as well. Get up a little bit. And I'm gonna just mix it up in here a little bit. It's gonna mix up anyway when I add the chicken, but I like to give it a little mix. And you can use any part of the chicken, really. It's just up to you. Thighs are very flavorful. I mean, today I'm just using some chicken legs, and I have a breast that I have just cut in half to make a smaller piece. And it's best to, when you do this, you should always wash your chicken and dry it off so that the marinade will adhere better to the chicken when it's dry. So you should always, as a step, dry your chicken before you season it. And we're gonna seal this up. All right, and then we're gonna do our thing with just get it all nice and covered. And so what's gonna happen is, when it's gonna go in the refrigerator for about an hour, but I'm gonna turn it in about 30 minutes just to make sure the marinade is all over it. And then we're gonna, after that, we're gonna get it ready for the oven. Okay, see you in a bit. Okay everybody, so next up, as I said, are the baked crab balls. So these are like an appetizer. So I start off with, I like lump crab meat. It's very meaty. And this is about 8 ounces, and so we're gonna start with that. I don't really mix it too much because I like people to taste the crab, and you want nice, big pieces of crab. So we'll start off with that. This is garlic powder. We're gonna add a little bit of garlic powder. We're gonna add, look, as I told you, I'm from Baltimore. If you make a crab cake and you're from Baltimore, you use Old Bay. So I have some Old Bay seasoning here. And I have a little bit of lemon zest and a little bit of cayenne and paprika just to give it a little bit of heat. There's a nice spice to the Old Bay, so you don't need a lot. I'll do the mayonnaise and the fresh parsley, but first I want to saute my onions and my peppers. So give me a moment and we'll do that. And I guess I'm going to add a little bit of olive oil to the pan. I like using You can use any kind of pepper, but I like the yellow and red pepper because I like giving my crab cakes some color. It's less about flavor and more about presentation and the way that you present them, and I think they look nice. So that's why I use yellow, a combination of yellow. But peppers come in all different colors, as you know, green, orange. It's totally up to you and what's available for you. So we're gonna saute this until it gets translucent. Takes about maybe 3-4 minutes. You just kind of eye it. But what you don't want, you want them to be soft. You don't, in this part, at least for me, I actually don't want too much texture within the crab ball. It's gonna get texture from the coating, the breadcrumbs. And so inside, I don't really need texture, I just need flavor. And so we're gonna do that. Okay, it's melding good. All right. And you know, always adjust your flame. You don't have to leave it where it is. Just you watch and you see how it's going. If it's too slow, kick it up a bit. I tend not to leave it too long on its own because it just doesn't take that long. Okay, I think that's good. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna take this off the heat now and put it in a bowl and let it cool. And then I'm going to actually use this same pan to toast the breadcrumbs. Okay, so let's get these crab balls in the oven. I have sauteed my peppers and onion, and so we're gonna add that. I think I need quite all of it, so I'm gonna leave a little bit of it out. This is some parsley that I'm adding. Again, a couple of dishes that have parsley, so I made sure I have enough to use for my other dishes. And now this is about a 1/4 cup of mayo. As I said, this is a 1/2 pound of crab. I'm doing the crab balls, so I didn't need a whole pound. And I like making my crab balls bite size, and so I want them to be about an ounce, ounce and a half, and I judge it my size by, I want people to be able to take maybe 2 to 3 bites. When I do that, then I think it's the right size, and so I tend to eyeball it. With that, so we got that. Put some in there to get it all out. There we go. When I was in culinary school, I remember I had a chef instructor. His favorite line was, "Don't leave any money in the bowl." So that means get all of your ingredients out of the bowl, and because it, you know, don't waste anything. Okay, I think that's looking pretty good. And always taste your food. I mean, the crab is already cooked, so I can take a little bite, make sure I got all the flavors the way I want them. I do. All right, so now we got assembly going. So what I'm gonna do, first up is the flour. Then it's gonna be the egg wash. And then it's, I've toasted some breadcrumbs. I like using a combination of panko, which are Japanese breadcrumbs. They're a little larger, and regular plain breadcrumbs. It just provides a nice level of crunch that I like, and I toasted them so they're nice and brown. And so what we do is we kind of make up some balls. And I don't put any filler in my crab cakes, so they're moist. They stay together, I think, okay. That's kind of like the size that I like to have them. And I put it in the flour first. Let me get a spoon. And just make sure they're, you know, nice and covered. Don't need a lot. When you start to roll, you'll see it's gonna fall off, but so you don't want a lot. But you want enough to make sure that the egg adheres. And depending on how many you're doing, it's either 1 or 2 eggs. And I do that. You know what, I'm gonna use another fork, because if I don't use separate utensils for each level, each layer, it's gonna get clogged. And so this way makes it easy and get the right assembly going. Okay, and then another spoon for the breadcrumbs. Okay. There we go. And these will bake in the oven for about 15 minutes. As I said, everything is already done. You want everything to adhere and the flavors to meld. So I have just a sheet pan with a rack because I want the air to flow all around the ball. I don't want it to be, just on top. So that's the way they look. That's the right size. I'm going to continue making the rest of these, and we'll move on to the next dish. We'll come back. The chicken should be just about ready for us to do that as well. So I'm put them on a rack here. The air will flow through. It doesn't take them long. 10 minutes in an oven. The oven is at 350. And so I'm going to stick those in, and then we're going to make our spicy remoulade sauce for these pancakes. All right. So for the sauce, for me, it's mostly eyeballing in terms of doing that. What I have here is I have some cornichons. Sometimes I use pickled relish, but today we're going to use some cornichons. I have some chives that I've chopped up. I have a little bit of paprika in my Old Bay. With the mayo, I'm going to use a little bit of ketchup. Ketchup, to me, gives it a nice little sweetness as well. A little bit of Worcestershire sauce, some lemon juice, and a little bit of Dijon mustard. So, as I said, I just usually start mixing and tasting. But I'll tell you, so this is about a half a cup of mayo. Cayenne and paprika. A little bit of salt and pepper here. And I'm gonna add, not all of these, again, I like to go and see, I'll taste it and see if I need more. And then a little bit of the chives. And I'll do a nice squirt of the ketchup. A little bit of Worcestershire. A little bit of Old Bay. I add just a little bit because I like the continuity of the two having some in it. And a little bit of the Dijon mustard. All right, let me mix this up and give it a taste. Okay, consistency looks good. Let's see how it is. Okay, I need a little bit more Worcestershire. Another couple of sprinkles of Old Bay. I'm good. That's it. All right. So as soon as those crab balls come out of the oven, we're going to plate that up. And I'm going to get ready and it's been about an hour, so we can take the chicken out of the refrigerator, and we're going to get that ready for the oven. Okay, everybody, we're back. And so what we have here in front of us is the chicken has marinated in the refrigerator for about an hour. And when you take it out, you want to get it ready. You really want to get most of the marinade off it. You don't want it to burn. And so if you're using chicken with bone in and skin on, which I am, you put skin side down, and then you let that go for about 20 minutes. The oven has been kicked up now to about 375, and we'll do it for 20 minutes and then turn it and have another 20 minutes, and then we'll have some chicken. And while the chicken is in the oven, I'm going to get ready and actually start boiling my millet and talk about the millet for a minute. Okay? Okay. So millet. So millet is a grain. Think of it like rice, any other types of wheat that you see, or not, this is not wheat, but of the grains that you see, and it's little pellets. It is nice, and so as I told you, I would tell you a story about millet. And so I actually got introduced to millet when I was a Peace Corps volunteer. So right after pharmacy school, I got wanderlust and really wanted to do something different. So I joined the Peace Corps and I served in West Africa. And the millet is one of the main foods. It's a staple, especially in the villages. And so when I went, everyone, you go to, it's called a stage. I was in a Francophone country. All the new volunteers, they send you out into a village to really get an understanding of what it's like. And so I had a volunteer to come and pick me up, and so he was taking me out to his village. And so we were in this village. I mean, it took us a long time to walk to get there. We were in his hut, basically. When it was time to eat, there was no electricity, obviously, no running water. And when the family, who had a family adopts you usually when you're there, and they brought in the food for us to eat. Well, it was dark. I couldn't see it, and everyone eats. It's a community bowl, but they were honoring him, and so they just did him and his guest in his hut for us to eat in private. And when we started eating, you eat with your hands. So I dipped in to take, and he told me it was millet, and I tasted it, and I froze. It was the worst tasting thing that I could think of. It tasted like hot sand to me, wet sand. And I was just stunned because I felt, okay, I'm supposed to be here for 2 years. And how am I gonna live in this country for 2 years and I can't eat this? And he really, I owe him a debt because he really helped me. And this was during the time when, African Americans want to feel their roots. I'm going to go back to Africa. And this guy who had took me to his village, he was white. And he was eating like crazy. He loved it. And I was like, how can he eat that and I can't? And he said, well, you get used to it. And he said, look, these people don't have anything, and at least to our standards. And it's important that we show them how much we appreciate that they're sharing this with us. And so he turned his bowl around and he ate from the other side to make it look like I had eaten it. And that was just very humbling for me. It made me realize that I needed to check myself and realize that I'm in a different culture and really make an effort to fit in. And I'll never forget it because it was really very instructive, so I'm indebted to him. That's a long story about millet, but anyway, what I'm gonna do is it was a happy ending. I actually ended up living in the city teaching, and so my main staple there was rice, and it was always very good. So anyway, this is chicken stock. I make my own stock. This is chicken stock. We're having chicken, so I'm using the chicken stock in place of water. Every time that I have an opportunity to infuse flavor, I tend to use it. So when I see recipes call for water, you do this just like rice. This is about 1.5 cups, so I'm gonna use 3 cups of stock. And I use it if I'm using seafood, I'll do seafood stock, or obviously if I'm cooking steak or beef, I'll have beef stock. And the flavor intensity to me is worth the effort, but if it's not for you, I understand. Just go to the store and buy some stock. Believe me, you won't regret it. So I'm going to take my pan and I'm going to boil my stock. And when my stock comes up to a boil, and we'll let that go for 20 minutes. And by the time this is done, the chicken should be just about ready. So I'm gonna do this. I need about 20 minutes for the, not 20, maybe 10 minutes for the stock to come to a boil. So then I'm gonna get everything ready for our dessert. Let me get that set up for a minute, okay? Okay, everybody, we're back, and everything is ready. And so what you have in front of you now, here is the millet tabouleh. And just to remind you, millet is a grain. It's like rice, but it has nice texture, mouthfeel, And it has the spices of Tabouleh, like there is mint and dill and parsley blended in. And the chicken, if you recall, is a Moroccan spice. I marinated this chicken in yogurt that was seasoned with turmeric and cumin and cinnamon. And then we baked it in the oven at 375. Smells good in here. And so I'm just gonna plate this up now. Has a nice char on it. Okay. And we have this now there. And if you recall, these are the baked crab balls with a spicy remoulade sauce. These are baked. We made the crab cakes the traditional way, for Baltimoreans, but I live in Charleston now, and there's a southern way of making crab cakes or crab balls, and I use a little bit of those techniques. So it's a nice blend, but it still has Old Bay. I'm not gonna make a crab cake without my Old Bay sauce seasoning. And then we did a breading on them that is panko and breadcrumbs mixed, and we put them in the oven at 350 for about 10-15 minutes. And so there we are. And so we have one more dish to make, and that's the dessert. What I've done is I have mixed up some yogurt. But I've added honey because I wanted a level of sweetness. It is a dessert. So there, and then I have raspberries. What I did is I blended my raspberries in a food processor, put them through a sieve so that we want it to be smooth. We don't want the seeds in our dessert. We want a nice, smooth mouthfeel. And then what I have are some freeze-dried raspberries. This is nice because it's gonna give a different texture. They're a little tart, so it's gonna make a nice addition in terms of the different ways you can taste the raspberries. And we'll finish off with just a few fresh raspberries. And then, as I said, I love chocolate. So we're gonna end it up with shaving some chocolate over the parfait. All right? So we'll get started with that. Okay, we'll take our glass and let me get a spoon and our raspberry. So we're gonna start off. Nice layer. I'm gonna add a level of the raspberry. Then we're going to put in the freeze-dried, and I'm going to have another little level of yogurt. And we're going to add some of these on top here. And we're gonna take this and we're gonna shave a little bit. I think this might work better. We're gonna shave some of the chocolate right on top. Well, I'm gonna do it this way. I think that's good. Want it too much. You don't want to feel guilty when you eat this. You want to feel like, okay, I can do that. And so I'm gonna take this now and just put it right on top. We also eat with our eyes. So if it doesn't look good, you will think it doesn't taste good. So, okay. And I like to just have a little bit of garnish. I like mint. As you approach the dish, you will see that you can smell the mint. So we'll just do a little bit of garnish to this. And there we have it. So you have our baked crab balls with our spicy remoulade. We have our Moroccan spiced chicken with our millet tabouleh. And we have our raspberry and chocolate parfait. So There you go. Thank you so much for allowing me to come into your home and share with you a few of these dishes. Again, my name is Chef Doug with King Cuisine, and I hope to see you another time so we can create some more delicious meals. Thank you.